I stopped. I remember having this realization. I was like, what are other ways people are selling things that's different? And about that time is when all of the Marvel movies were happening. And I remember sitting there as I was planning the Expert Secrets book launch and watching some show. And on there are like all of the characters who were in the movie, right? In Avengers Endgame. And I had this epiphany. I was like, oh my gosh, when Hollywood spends $500 million making a movie, like how do they launch it? I'm like, what they do is they go out there, they're getting on all these distribution channels, right? They're going on TV, they're on the Today Show, the Tonight Show, Good Morning America. Like they're hitting all the shows to like announce themselves and talk about it and promote it. They always show a clip from the movie. It gets everyone on opening night to go and buy the movie. Hey, this is Russell. Welcome back to The Vault. I've got some really cool things to share with you guys today from Napoleon Hill, who's one of my favorites of all time. I'm going to be showing you guys an actual unpublished manuscripts of a book called The Secrets of Master Salesmanship. This was a book that was pre-selling a book that he later launched called How to Raise Your Own Salary. This is a signed copy of that book right here, which is kind of fun. But the thing that I'm really excited to show you guys is actually not just the manuscripts and the books, but more specifically how he was promoting this book through these articles, through magazines like this right here, which is called Salesman's Opportunity Magazine. And on the cover, you've got Mr. Napoleon Hill right here. It says, the man who taught millions how to succeed. And this magazine, these articles were all used to sell his book as it was coming up. And so today we're gonna talk about a lot of cool ways you can sell your stuff by following exactly what Napoleon Hill did back in the early 1930s, 1940s. These were all different things that I bought at different times. This first one, these manuscripts are actually a gift from Don Green, Napoleon Hill Foundation. It's literally impossible to buy typed stuff from Napoleon Hill. And so I don't know. Again, he sent to me as a gift. I would say these pretty easily could sell for $10,000 or more. The reason why I kind of geek out on this stuff is I love seeing, again, not just like the end book or course or product someone sells, but all the things that they're doing to promote it, especially people that are doing it in the early 20s because they didn't have the internet, they didn't have, like all the luxuries we have today on how we sell stuff was not there then. I stopped. I remember having this realization. I was like, what are other ways people are selling things that's different? And about that time is when all of the Marvel movies were happening and, Avengers Endgame and all these movies were building on upon each other. And I remember sitting there as I was planning the Expert Secrets book launch and watching some show. And on there are like all of the characters who were in the movie, right? In Avengers Endgame. And I was looking at it and I had this epiphany. I was like, oh my gosh, like when Hollywood spends $1 billion on a movie, $500 million making a movie, like how do they launch it? I'm like, what they do is they go out there and they're putting them like they're getting on all these distribution channels, right? They're going on TV, they're on the Today Show, the Tonight Show, Good Morning America, like they're hitting all the shows to like announce themselves and talk about it and promote it. And then they always show a clip from the movie and then it gets everyone on opening night to go and buy the movie, right? And I was like, I could do the same thing with my Expert Secrets book. Like, I'm going to do a circuit, like a talk show circuit. But for me, I was like, I'm not going to get on Today's Show and, probably those shows, but like, what's the equivalent that me as an entrepreneur can do? I started realizing like, I can get on people's podcasts. I can get on people's YouTube channels. And so we sat down and we made a list of like, who are all the dream people that if I could have them interview me on their podcast, their YouTube, their Facebook, that it would drive a lot of sales, just like, they're doing for Marvel when they were trying to launch a movie. And it was all this pre-promotion that drove sales for the book. And so the reason why I geek out about this is I just think about Napoleon Hill, right? He's writing this book. And if you haven't read How to Raise Your Own Salary, it's very similar to Think and Grow Rich, but Think and Grow Rich was written for an entrepreneur. Like, here's how way you use your brain to create new stuff, right? Where How to Raise Your Own Salary was more written specifically for employees of a business, but it's using the exact same 17 principles he teaches in all these other ones, right? It was showing somebody who's an employee how to use all the laws of success. And so it's really kind of interesting. So he's writing this book, he's putting it out there, and he starts thinking, like, who'd be my dream client? Like, who's the person most likely to want to buy this book and want to go to my seminars and everything else he was doing around this concept of how to raise your own salary. Again, Don Green, as a gift, sends me these manuscripts. He's like, hey, I found this stuff in the archives, thought you'd be interested. And I pull up the very first thing, and The Secrets of Master Salesmanship by Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich and How to Raise Your Own Salary and other success books distributed throughout the world. And then it says it's an article. And basically, chapter 1 was just this article he wrote talking about how to be successful as a salesperson. It goes through the nine basic motives. He goes through all these different things. And that was the first article. And then there was a second article, third, and he had all these different articles about how to become better at selling. And what's interesting is as I read the articles, every single one of them is talking about one of the laws of success. And at the end of the article, he's like, hey, I actually read about this in my new book called How to Raise Your Own Salary. And he's promoting the book, right? All these chapters of this book that never got published, they were articles he was distributing and sending out to magazines and newsletters in different places. First time I got these, and I was at my house and I was reading them, just seeing like he's writing this thing, but he's also writing in a way to promote, to get people to eventually come deeper into his funnel and buy the actual copy of his book, right? That's what got me so excited a little while later when one of the guys who I sell stuff to, he sent me a picture. He's like, hey, is this something you'd be interested in? First off, it's a Napoleon Hill thing. So the answer is yes. But then what's more interesting to me is like the title is Salesman's Opportunity. And like it's a magazine specifically for salespeople. And when you dive in here, you start reading, like they wrote this write-up about him, but he's writing articles in here talking about how to sell more stuff and how to be more successful, right? And he's teaching salespeople how to be successful. He's going through everything. And then at the end, obviously he goes and he pitches his book, How to Raise Your Own Salary. And so it just is fun for me to reverse engineer and see how they marketed books and products and courses before they had the internet. And they're doing very similar strategies, right? Like you think about, for me, when I launched Expert Secrets, I was like trying to get on all these different people's shows and their platforms. But at the same time, like I was writing articles. That would put that, I had people like friends I knew who were posting these articles on their blog, which is very similar to what he was doing here. He had this, 6-part series about how to become a salesman. He was going to magazines, he was writing articles. Interesting, looking at the way Napoleon Hill teaches and the way he talks anyway, he focused less on like the skill set you need to be a salesperson or the way to present the offer correctly. He spent more time on like developing that person as a salesperson, right? His kind of, the theme of this book was very much like, if you can become a better person, right? If you have a definite purpose, if you have a good attitude, if you, he goes through all the different laws of success that he teaches in the book and in Think and Grow Rich and these other ones, but applying them to salespeople. It's like, if you do these things, you'll become a better person. And by doing that, then you'll actually sell more. Most people, when they teach sales, they're not teaching personal development. They're not trying to develop the actual salesman. They're trying to give the salesman the trick or the hack or the secret, whereas Napoleon was like, there's a lot of people that can teach you those things. I'm going to teach you how to become the person that can get sales. The real reality is like people wouldn't buy from me until I became someone who they wanted to buy from. People love to buy stuff. They don't like to be sold. They like to buy stuff. And they like to buy stuff from people they like. How do you become the kind of person that's going to get somebody to want to give you money, to want to go and actually and buy something from you? And so each of these articles are really fascinating because they're going through different ways for you to become better. Again, just chapter 1 is like 9 basic motives, like understanding what motivates you, what motivates on the people you're trying to sell. Napoleon talks about success. He talks about a lot of things, but like most salespeople haven't had a chance to hear from Napoleon Hill and like how he would develop them as a salesperson. And so what's kind of fun is we worked with Don Green and he gave us the rights to republish this as an actual book, which we republish and we give away when people sign up for Secrets to Success. It's called The Secrets to Master Salesmanship. And it's the entire manuscript here in one book, which is kind of fun for anyone who wants to actually read this and see how Napoleon Hill can make you become better at learning how to sell. Some of the parallels like today, if you think about this, it's like, he was looking at who are the people that already have a distribution channel that he can plug content into, right? Because everyone who's got distribution, they're looking for content. And so what he did, he would write these articles and send them out to trade associations, newsletters, things like that, try to get them to publish them for him. Like he's giving them a good content. He's hoping they're going to publish it out to the world. Napoleon Hill didn't have a ton of money to sell his books. The books were probably selling for $1, right? So like you don't have money to go do direct mail campaigns, all these kind of things, right? You have to get free traffic. And the way you get free traffic is you find people who already have a distribution channel and you plug into it. We found a magazine that already was being shipped out there. So instead of like buying ads, which he could have, you see there's a lot of ads in here, people are paying for every one of these ads. He instead got them to write this article about how to succeed, that he was able to get inside the newsletter. It has a higher perceived value than the ads too, because like this is actual content in the newsletter. And then from there, it promotes and pitches back to the thing he's trying to sell. So that's the way to start thinking about things a little differently. A lot of the strategies he was doing back then offline are all the free ways we can get traffic nowadays, where you're plugging into other people's traffic and getting traffic for free as opposed to going out and actually buying it. Okay, if you guys want to read some of the stuff from Napoleon Hill, I will do something really cool. I'm going to pull out chapter number 1 and I will let you guys get this for free. If you click in the description down below, there's a link you can go to and I'll give you guys chapter number 1 so you can have a chance to actually read through the 9 basic motives and how it applies back to you as a salesman. Hopefully it'll be beneficial. If you love it, there'll be a link also where you can get the copy of this book. Use cover shipping handling, ship it out to you, where you can learn more about Napoleon Hill and how his strategies will help you to actually sell more of whatever it is you're trying to sell.